SoulSilver here. Today I'm going to be showing you how I made my newest part of my map for Mythic Silver, the new game that I've been working on. As you see, I'm using the program PDSMS, or Pokemon DS Map Studio, and it's a really awesome tool that I've been using for the past couple of months to make games like Garbage Gold and now Mythic Silver. I'm working on Avalanche Pass, which is modeled after a place in real life in the Adirondacks called Avalanche Pass, which ultimately leads up to Mount Colden and is a huge peak that I've actually hiked myself a number of times. So the idea here is to make a snowy path with some icy walls and a mountain with a lake at the top. In real life, there's actually a lake called Avalanche Lake that is about 4,000 feet up and is in between two pretty big mountains. So I'm trying to be inspired by that. I probably won't be able to make something exactly like that, but the idea here is to make a little trail for the player to walk through and eventually get up to the top of the mountain. There'll probably be some NPCs here, some interactions with Team Galactic, which I'm importing from Platinum into Mythic Silver. You'll see here that I'm trying to make some new tiles myself. In this part of the video and the creation process, which took over 3 hours, I'm trying to make some taller ice tiles so that I can have some taller walls in the little path up the mountain. The idea here is to have it feel cozy, but at the same time feel a little bit open enough so you can see what's going on. So I'm trying to here edit the corner tiles, which take a really long time because you need to make sure everything merges nicely together. Basically, this is mostly just height editing, which is a real pain in the butt, especially for maps that have a lot of verticality, which is why you probably don't see them in Game Freak games very much, especially in your Gen 4 and Gen 5 games. And I'm trying to jump to something a little more complicated here since I've done a lot of mapping. Here you can see I'm comparing the old tiles I have to the new ones and trying to match up some textures. And I go through a lot of different textures here, trying to get a nice wall look. I don't like this initial one. I scroll through a couple of them, and I immediately fall in love with this one. It's great, and now I have to duplicate it and rotate it a bunch so I can use it at different angles, and so that everything can be contiguous and coherent. You can see here I'm adding a couple more tiles, duplicating, rotating, and putting them to smart draw, so it's a lot easier for me to put into the map. So obviously this map is made of lots of bits and pieces of tiles, but in the game it's gonna look like one smooth map. Unfortunately you can't export from a DS game into a PDSMS, but you can go the other way. So here I'm trying to get rid of these pesky trees because we have polygon limits on each of these maps. Each map has to have less than 1,200 polygons, and I actually had to go back on the middle map and cut down on some of those because it would cause the game to crash if there's too many polygons. Of course, we're working with DS software, so the game does not have that much memory to work with, and if you have memory overflow, then it just gets a crash. So here I'm finishing up the trail and doing some of the walls that I just made from the tiles. It's sometimes annoying to have to make new tiles in the middle of a project. It's nice to be able to just go through it, put the tiles down, call it a day, get your map permissions in, and that's it. But most of the time if you're doing something new, that's not going to be the case. Here I'm still making a rough draft of what the outline should look like. I want this chasm to look deep and like a void. I have these placeholder tiles in here that are going to be eventually removed and kind of blended nicely with the bottom of the chasm, but you won't see that for a little while since I didn't actually do that until the very end of this day. I think I'm about an hour and a half or about an hour in at this point, and I'm getting pretty tired, but I am determined to finish this before I log off for the day. You typically do my mapping in pretty big chunks because once the inspiration hits, you just gotta go for it. One other difficulty here is making sure that the heights blend together correctly and they don't clip through each other. And you can see there I took a break to post some screenshots on my Discord server, which you should 100% join since that's where I put all my progress updates and you'll be the first to be notified about these types of videos. So here I'm finally getting to the base of the chasm, and I've got the heights finally set in stone. You can kind of see when I go into third person mode instead of just top down that you can see that it actually finally reaches well below the trail in the snow, which is nice. But obviously there still looks like there's a bottom to it, and I want to have the idea that it's a bottomless pit, so I'm going to go back later and fix that. Here again, I'm just messing with some more heights and trying to get things to look good on the edge of your screen. One thing that you can often run into is that your map doesn't extend far enough so that you'll see the void or just black edges in the game, and so you want to make sure that it extends further than the player can see, which usually means going out of your way to make things a little bit bigger than you think you need them to be. And here I want to put my upper level walls in near the very top of the trail, near the summit. Obviously not much of a summit, it only goes up to layer 15, but despite that you can still put taller objects at layer 15 to make the map appear even taller than it is. So that's one of the reasons why I reskinned those mountain tiles to be icy. Once again, just doing the edging on these mountains. The idea here is to make it feel like you're walking through like two mountains on either side of you, since in real life Avalanche Pass is just like that. But obviously this is kind of difficult to do. Here I finally figured out how to make the void look good, and I got excited, took a screenshot and put it in my Discord server again. And here I'm adding another layer, so there's I think 3 or 4 layers on the far left part of the chasm, and I'm eventually going to connect over there with a bridge, but here I'm making the snowy areas the walkable ones and the blue areas the not walkable ones, to signify to the player where they can go. I find giving your player a little bit more intuitive information is better than not. Again, more of I think that's where I finished for the day, but I decided to go back and add this bridge in. Oftentimes I will try something out and it won't look good, and then I'll come back and say, okay, let's see how we can make this fit with the scenery a little more. And I was alluding to this earlier, but I had to reduce the polygon count. And basically corners really hurt your polygon count, because every corner is extra polygons, whereas a straight line of mountain is all 1 polygon, or at least fewer polygons. And so here I'm kind of making the edge more granular, and what still looks pretty good, and reduce the poly count by, I think, several hundred. And this is where I am today, so you can see I have my wife in the background. That's Hannah working on her phone, then playing some Tears of the Kingdom while I do my ROM hacking. Pretty typical stuff for a typical day at the Sauce household. Here I'm finally adding in some decorations and making a couple ice puzzles. The idea is to fill this place with a lot of ice and debris, since this is Avalanche Pass, and there's probably been previous avalanches here that have blocked the path. You can see I'm also changing my Spotify song. And here I'm trying to make an ice path that doesn't soft lock the player, but it's also kind of easy. Those can be really fun to make. And here I'm like, wait, I need to put grass in. I don't want to put green grass, so I go into Photoshop, I recolor it to be blue, and then I re-import the textures onto a new grass object and put it near the trees. So there's only 6 patches of grass, but it is what it is. And there's also another tile set that I had been wanting to work with, and it's this cutesy little cabin type tile set, and I think in a second I'm gonna start putting that in the top right of your screen. But here's another ice puzzle. This one's a little bit harder, but not too bad. So yeah, here's the tile set that I was referring to. Again, most of these tiles I did not make myself. I have gotten them from free tile sharing channels in the Kingdom of DS ROM Hacking Discord, and I will, when this project's done, of course give the proper credit here. But at this point I'm still adding some decorations in to make it feel more immersive at the boundaries of your screen. And then I also realized that if I leave this part of the map the way it is, you're going to be able to see into the void. Anywhere where you see turquoise background, that's going to look completely black and empty in-game. So you have to be really careful not to leave it like that. And so I finally fixed that, and now I'm adding in some more decorations, add another ice puzzle over here. The idea is to have a pretty sizable map, but have lots of detail in it so that there's stuff to explore. And I should mention that this complete area is going to replace Lake of Rage. So rather than have silly little lake, we're going to have a mountain to ourselves. And so now I get to the summit, and I'm deciding on how I want to have this little lake up here, and now I realize this looks way too small. So I undo it, and I make it bigger, and put the pathing down. I should mention that this video is sped up by 20 times, so every 3 seconds you see here is a minute of real life. Overall, this project took, I think, 3.5 hours to do just for this one area, which goes to show just how much dedication and time these things really take. I have never worked with a full 9 layers before, but I needed to here to get the verticality to work out. And again, changing the song, realizing it's a song I like, or by an artist that I didn't realize, and here I am just taking a quick look at it, and touching up some edges to make them look a little better. Overall, this is a really fun project, and here's a final look at what it looks like. Here's one final look at the finished project. So if you zoom in close enough, you can actually see that there are some sloped snow slabs, which I did custom, and you basically come up here and you get to another ice puzzle. There'll probably be some NPCs here, probably interactions with Team Galactic, and the dead trees kind of show the avalanche-y nature of the place, where logs can fall at any moment as long as ice bricks and the like. And as we come up here, we can cross over this bridge here, and then come up, see an ice puzzle, and there's going to be items to get here. Basically, any side paths are going to hold items. The idea is to make the area seem a little bit bigger than it is. We're going to come up here, and eventually there's going to be an encounter with probably Cyrus himself, as well as some legendary Pokemon, and it'll help progress the story. So this is the entire area. This is my workflow for mapping. It takes a lot of time, but to me it's so worth it. And as a comparison, this is Crevice Cave from Garbage Gold, which is a lot flatter and, in my opinion, less exciting. So I'm pretty happy with how my mapping has been turning out recently. And yeah, if you want to see more videos like this, more time lapses, let me know in the comments. It's been Sauce. See you later.